Chief Femi Falana, FAN. Please make the applause.
Of a constitutional change of government to include those who manipulate the constitutions of their country to elongate their term in office, and those who engage in illegal postponement of elections. And of course, from what I've gathered here today, they must also include those who manipulate the Electoral Act and the legal system to subvert democracy in Africa. Having said that, let me welcome very specially our guest from Uganda, the mayor of Entebbe. I'm sure when you hear of Entebbe, you talk of the Israeli capture of that city. Illegal gangsterism in international law in those days. I'm talking of my brother Fabrice Mutunga. You are welcome specially to Nigeria. And part of the politics of Uganda, you may be surprised. During your last election, the main opposition leader, who was actually alleged to have won the election, Bobby Wine, was arrested and had this movement restricted so that he would not file his election petition. I'm one of his external lawyers, so that you know I have a lot to do with Uganda. And I was also involved in writing your current constitution. So I know what you are talking about. But I was very ashamed that not many Nigerians have visited Uganda. But now that you have been here, we are coming back. In 1972, I have been well fed. Today, this dinner, beautiful. He wasn't speaking a lot of grammar. This dinner, good. I enjoyed the hostility extended to me. It meant hospitality. I'm inviting you to Uganda, and I will retaliate your hostility. I will reciprocate your hospitality. So I can assure you, Mayor, we are coming to reciprocate your generosity in coming here to share your thoughts with us. You did ask us, and again I was ashamed, that we know the system in America more than the system in Uganda or in other African countries. You know why we know it more? Why we know America more? America has taken over our countries. Here in Nigeria, the dollar is preferred to the naira. I did the same thing in Uganda. The last time I was there, everybody was asking of dollars. So when we dollarize our economy, what do you expect? And for me today, Your Excellency, we can't discuss politics alone without discussing the economy. So in my brief intervention, I'm not going to repeat those very fine points the governor of Plateau State has made wonderful contributions. And as a colleague of mine, I'm not here to defend lawyers. You know my position. Because most of the time, again, I'm ashamed that lawyers in Nigeria deliberately, senior lawyer, deliberately sabotage the electoral system for many. Your Excellency, I know you didn't say much in terms of what you went through. I can imagine, sir, what you went through. One of your colleagues was contesting election. And on the eve of the election, I said, I think it was Comrade Adam Oshiomhole, now in the Senate, Comrade, now that you're going to this election tomorrow, it's going to be rigged by the PDP in Edo State. So can we get gadgets, recording gadgets, so that we can capture the rigging to prepare for election petition? Say, Comrade, I'm not going to election petition this time. We shall win tomorrow. Let our opponents go to the tribunal. And I said, what do you mean? He said, comrade, unlike you, what it costs me to hire lawyers to defend sometimes frivolous petitions is much more. The money I spent on lawyer is much more than what I spent on the campaign. Of course, he didn't tell me what he also spent on the other side, the courts and tribunal. And I know, Your Excellency, you have not mentioned anything like that. I can understand. But on a very serious note, the topic of our discourse is a reflection of our backwardness with profound respect. How can we, as a people, the largest concentration of black people on earth, how can we sit down for hours to discuss electoral reforms? The electoral system has been reformed. What is the business of a court in determining who won the election? That shouldn't be our business. Gather here. What we should be discussing, I beg you, and this is a challenge to our panelists, is how we are going to remove completely the intervention of the courts in the management of our election. It's so crucial. Other countries are trying to do it in Africa. An election has taken place. Make it transparent. Transmit the result from the polling unit to the central server. Why is that so difficult? So if you can do that, we have mastered the compilation of voters register, accreditation of voters by the beavers machine. Can we advance that and then insist on electronic transmission? Once you do that, what is the business of the court in determining who won an election and who didn't win an election? Judges are not suited, if you must know, judges are not suited to determine winners of election. No, because they were not present when you were casting the votes. So you now come to court and lawyers are bringing technicalities to them. So they are going to adopt one side or the other, and then we are abusing the judges. Please let us go back to the basics. How do we reform the system to the extent that the winners of election will be determined by the people, the electorate, and not by judges? Nigeria is the only country, or rather, in the whole world, Nigeria filed more pre-election cases and election petitions than any country in the world. Your Excellency, what is a pre-election? A pre-election is a dispute. A pre-election case is a dispute before election. So I'm suggesting today, it must be determined before the election. Because you cannot carry over a pre-election case until after the election. And what is the most ridiculous aspect of it? You said somebody did not qualify to contest the election. You file an action. It should not be allowed to contest. The election has taken place. You are still in court. About 3 or 4 or a year later, the court holds the man should not have contested the election. Therefore, it's removed. So, you have wasted the money for the election. You have made a mockery of the decision of the people who have voted for the man. I am therefore suggesting, sir, let's take some things home. Henceforth, all pre-election matters shall be concluded before the election. Second one, and this is what they do in other African countries, all election petitions shall be concluded before the inauguration of the winners. So why should you as a governor or president be going to court to find out whether you won an election? You have been sworn in. You are performing the duties of a governor or the president It's worse in the case of the president, where he's already attending meetings with other heads of state. The last time President Tinubu had gone to the United Nations to address the whole world, he had gone to the AU. He had even become the chair of ECOWAS. We are now deciding whether he won the election or not. It's a mockery of democracy. I suggest, therefore, before the inauguration of winners of election, we must conclude our election petition. And how do you do that? In Kenya, in Zambia, and all the Francophone countries in Africa, including the Lusophone countries, presidential election petitions only go to the Supreme Court. Presidential election. And they are determined within 14 days. The day you file the petition, they must be decided within 14 days. How? Again, I go to Kenya. The day the election is concluded, the electoral body is ordered to make all the electoral material available to the political parties in case they want to file an election petition. Because it's basically technology-driven. But here, Your Excellency, you conclude an election. You want to go to court, the tribunal. You have to sue INEC because INEC will not make the material available. They call it ex parte application between you and the court. The court, okay, INEC, you are hereby ordered to make the materials available. INEC may ignore the order. If you have to embark on contempt proceedings, that may take the next 3 months. So whatever you are able to get, you throw it into the tribunal. It's not done like that in other African countries. So again, we can suggest, as soon as an election is concluded in Nigeria, all materials shall be made available to aggrieved parties so that we don't have to go to court for them. Now, to serve the papers, again, this is deliberate. You will not get the respondents to serve. So you go to court and ask for substituted service. So you get the order to paste it in the secretariat of a party. Folks are there. And so it's difficult. You then go back to the court. Can we advertise? And time is going. The people are suffering. They don't know who they voted for. That should not happen again. I suggest, in these days of technology, if you get an order, send it by WhatsApp, email, and the rest of them. We are doing it now. I have a case in the Supreme Court. Yesterday. They sent a WhatsApp message to all. And that is the way the world is moving on. So I suggest that the rigmarole that goes on in our electoral system has to stop. Your Excellency, I'm happy you spoke today like an activist. But when Your Excellency was addressed, I was asking, these are the decision makers now. Oh, Your Excellency, go back to your colleagues. Go back to your colleagues, please. Circulate your papers to your colleagues and discuss it, sir. Very rich paper. Discuss your paper in the Nigerian Governors Forum so that after you have agreed, you can now go to the president. Sir, we must go back to the basic. These are our resolutions. And Mr. Governor, I want to suggest to you, and I'm happy, Architect Ango is here, former vice president. Now, every regime in Nigeria, apart from Tinubu yet, has set up an electoral reform panel. And they will come up with beautiful resolutions. The best one has been by Uwe's panel, set up by the late Yaradua. I'm suggesting, sir, that there are certain aspects of that panel report that have not been implemented. One of them provides, and this is the fundamental root of rigging. One of them is that when you want to fill a vacancy, the position of the INEC chairman, recs, whatever, shall be advertised. Those positions shall be advertised. The National Judicial Council will be saddled with the responsibility, I think because Justice Owais was the chairman, to shortlist the candidate and send the 3 names, the best 3 names, to the Senate through the president. So it's not a question of filling the Electoral Commission with your party members. The last time some recs were appointed, about 10 of them, we identified 4 who are card-carrying members of political parties, contrary to the provision of the Constitution. So we are in court on that to get those 4 people removed, members of the ruling party. But what is important is that we should go back to Waste Panel's report and ensure that these positions are advertised. So if I know a lecturer who send marks to past students, so you can't be the INEC chairman or a member of the Electoral Commission, and this is the way we should go. The other recommendation of that panel, which I have already submitted, is that all election petitions be concluded before inauguration. Now, we don't need 6 months, sir. 180 days to decide who won an election, whether it was qualified or not. Pre-election matters, whether I attended a university or not. How, in this modern age, why should that take 6 months? Even from that, where the judge is sitting, the judge can call the vice chancellor of that university or issue an order on that university. Can you bring the record of Mr. So-so-so and so? So that can be discussed in 2 weeks, sir. Pre-election matters in 2 weeks. Post-election matters in 2 weeks. Then we are moving. Now, sir, because you mentioned the Unity Party of Nigeria, sir. Very good. Our parties are empty. They are just what we call special vehicles to access power. They are not political parties. Political parties decide the fate of a country. They form the government of a country. So democracy starts from the political parties. It was like the PDP that used to say, we are the largest party in Africa. How? Which Africa? Who are the members of your party? Or APC? The last time they did what they call registration, 40 million members. I said, wow, let's wait for the election. What happened? The members did not vote for their party. Because at the end of the day, President Tinubu scored only 8 million votes. Yet, the APC has 40 million members in Nigeria. So let's stop deceiving ourselves. Let's now go to town and mobilize political parties. Your Excellency, why the UPN was wrong, why it was disciplined, and which is missing now. At that time, we had political parties of ideology. In the parliament, you knew in the Second Republic what UPN and PRP will vote for, and what MPN and MPP and DMPP will vote for. But today, you know, the latest one about this padding, all the parties work together. In fact, when Senator Ningi alleged that 3.7 trillion was added to the budget, the presidency issued a very interesting statement that many of us didn't quite notice. That the National Assembly members, in their wisdom, padded the budget only to the tune of 1.2 trillion naira, not 3.7. But, you know the point I'm making? And all the parties were united in suspending Senator Ningi. Your Excellency, this leads me to another problem, which we must discuss here today. The greatest problem in Africa is impunity. Impunity. I think former President Jonathan is on his way to Senegal. They are going to monitor election. And only the people can defend democracy, not politicians, not the army or the police. And how will the people do it? In Senegal, The president wanted to do a third term. The people said no. What will I do? The president wasn't sure his candidate would win. He postponed the election indefinitely. President Sakimo, the people said no. They are forcing now. The election will take place on Sunday. So some of our people are going there to watch it. But the point I'm making, Your Excellency, all the complaints you have raised here today, I beg you, send some of them to appropriate statutory bodies by way of petitions. Because in this country, we don't bring people to book. If a lawyer made a submission in Lagos and comes to Abuja to make another submission, to contradict what he said in Lagos, in other climes, in Nigeria of those days, you would do a petition against him. So that all these lawyers, election petition specialists, who are causing the problem, will be brought to book. Your Excellency, my friend, ASCII Foundation, congratulations. But I want to beg you, next time you have a forum like this, you must bring judges and lawyers who are election petition people. I stopped handling election petition in 2015. Your Excellency, yes, my sister, she tried to compel me. My sister, they are loud, tried to woo me to handle an election petition. I said, no, my sister, I've stopped it. I stopped it in 2015 because I could no longer cope. The law I was taught was that you will read your book, make your submission in court, and you were sure of the judgment. But these days, a lot of things happen. And so some of us said, please, count us out. So, Your Excellency, you are not talking to the right people. I will identify them and send their names to you. Now, on political parties, I beg you, sir, and you are in a position, let us get political parties that are based on ideology and principle. And that is the only way in America today you will know who will vote for Republican or Democrat. We must go back to the era of politics of principle. Let me go to the one that will interest you, sir. On this business, I am pleading here, sir. Now let us resolve, and you must go around the country. I beg you. You've done very well. God will continue to replenish your pocket. This campaign must go around. I've already given an assignment to His Excellency. I'm going to worry him. How do we run our country on the basis of law? Sir, insecurity, unemployment of young people. Because when we're talking of security, we're only talking of physical security, more policemen, gadgets for them. What of social security? Unfortunately, in the north today, terrorism, banditry, and the rest of them have taken over. Because for years, we never bother about the children of the poor. They are now in the bush, armed with guns. I beg you, sir, again through you, as of today, this morning, 100 billion naira has not been accessed in the UBEC fund. I've sued all the governors, including Your Excellency, when called, to say you must access the money so that you can use it to get our children in school. 20.2 million Nigerian children are on the street. That shouldn't happen for a rich country like our own. I know what was shared in January, sir. One state collected 38 billion naira. 1 month. Even my own poor state, it collected 6.9 billion. So I'm going to call my governor after this meeting. How many children are still on the street in our state? Now, on the economy, again, I beg you, we can't talk of democracy next time with the way our country is going. Your Excellency, you must run the economy. As bad as this constitution is, there are two areas governors are not addressing. I beg you, I challenge you here, sir. There is the Nigerian National Economic Council. You were chair, sir, former vice president, Akite Sambo. That is the only body recognized by the constitution, sir, to advise the president on the economy. Not those who have been assembled, who are traders, business people. You ask them to come and advise you on the economy. They are going to advise you in the interest of their pockets. The Dangotes and Buas and the rest cannot be the advisors on the economy. The governors must advise the president because you know where the shoe pinches in your state. And that is what the constitution said. All the 36 of you, there are only 3 federal officers. The vice president, the finance minister, and the governor of the central. So you can always overrule them. The last one, sir, on the security. Because you are talking of state police now. Yeah, very attractive. But sir, I beg you, take over Nigerian police force. There is no federal government police. Are we aware? There's no federal government police. There is a Nigerian police force which shall be the only force in Nigeria. That force shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Council. Who are the members of the Nigerian Police Council? The president only as the chairman, the Inspector General of Police, the Chairman Police Council, and the 36 state governors. So, sir, you are in charge of the police. But what happened? That body, unlike National Security Council and the rest, never meets. Section 216 of the Constitution provides that the president cannot appoint or remove an IG without consulting the Nigerian Police Council. But when an IG is going to be appointed or removed, we all read it in the newspapers, including the governors who should have a say. Sir, to have the number of policemen needed in Plateau State, you have the right to go to that council and insist. And I'm asking governors to take control of the security apparatus in our country so that the president alone and the IG are not allowed to control the Nigerian police force. The last point is about the unfortunate incident, the killing of soldiers in Delta State. Like all Nigerians, I sympathize and have expressed my condolence, particularly with the government and the bereaved families. But if we don't learn from that terrible experience, we will repeat it. Under the Constitution, soldiers cannot go anywhere, whether on peace mission or war mission, without deployment by the president. Who deployed the troops? We must find out so that it doesn't happen again. And I'm pleading with all of us that all those who have been arrested should be transferred to the police for proper investigation so that they can be charged. The army cannot charge them because they can't be taken to courts martial. They are civilian. They must be taken to regular court. 2, the government must, as a matter of urgency, not just issue statements in Abuja or Delta. The government must send delegations to the families, each of the families of the soldier. Furthermore, their entitlements must be paid as soon as possible. The last one, the government must not allow, must stop the destruction of villages for the offenses of a few criminals. Under our law, there is no vicarious liability in criminality. You are asked to account for your own action. Furthermore, there's no collective punishment in our law or other international law to that extent. Let us not repeat what happened in Odi, of what it has taken place. Odi, Sakibiam, and Baramotu, the Federal High Court awarded 37 billion, 41 billion, and 100 billion as damages. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us decide that 2023 will be the last time that we are going to allow lawyers and judges to determine winners of election in Nigeria. I thank you for your